Howdy, howdy, and welcome to the Outside In podcast. We're talking about the latest happenings in the FM and litigation outsourcing. Today we're talking to Stuart Swartz, Senior Vice President at IST Management Services, about IST's creative approach to handling student overnight packages in higher education, and also how this technology can translate to other industries like the legal and corporate world. Excellent. So first, just want to welcome you to Outside In, Stuart. This is the IST podcast where we like to talk to leaders about industry challenges and solutions. And today we're excited to have you here because you have such a wealth of knowledge and experience in the industry. So I was hoping you could give us a little background on your career.
Thanks, Brad. I'm happy to be here in Atlanta. Career's been, it's been exciting. I been in the outsourcing industry almost 30 years. And when I was about to get out of the industry, because it had changed a lot, is when I actually got a phone call from IST. And it kind of recharged my batteries because of their vision. And so it's been a very, very exciting business, with the technology, and it's about the people and just having flexibility to do what's right for the customer. So it's been a great career. Really enjoying it. I have fun. I wouldn't necessarily look at it as work with great people. So spend more time at work than I do with my family.
Absolutely, as we unfortunately all do, but it means you got to love the people you work with.
Exactly.
So obviously you've been in the industry for a long time. I'm just curious, what are some of the traits that you see in people that allow them to be successful in this industry?
Well, me personally, I'm a relationship person. You have to connect with the people that you want to do business with, and they have to connect with you, and they want to be able to do business with you. So first thing I think is, be honest, build that relationship, and then sell from your heart. I think if you sell from your heart, then people see that you're really passionate about what you're doing, and they want to do business with you. But to me, it's really having that bond between the prospect who eventually becomes a customer. And you can become friends with your customers, you just can't cross that line. There's a business and there's a friendship. You have to make sure that you deliver on the business end.
Absolutely. Relationships is so much part of this business, and it's one of the huge parts. But another really big part is technology. And technology is what we brought you here today to talk about. Yeah. We're hoping you can give us a little bit of background on IST's kiosk and smart lockers that they've been implementing at universities across the country.
It's been a game changer, at least for me and IST and then the industry, because we developed a lot of software around it. And traditionally students, well, let's think back when we went to school. We went to college, you go in a station wagon, you'd have a trunk, and you'd be dropped off, and that's it. It's gotten to the point now where students go into college, and they walk in with a suitcase, and then they're doing on-demand ordering, whether it's through Amazon or other stores. And what it's done is it's reduced the mail now that's gone down. It's increased the packages. So IST saw an opportunity to develop software and utilize hardware to basically enhance the student-faculty experience. So it's worked out really, really well. Where traditionally students in the beginning of the year or the beginning of the semester after the holidays, that was the peak period, they come back and there'd be long lines. They'd be waiting in lines, they'd be looking at their phones. The institutions would start getting phone calls based on how long their kids had to wait, and obviously that's not good. So what we found was, okay, how can we increase the packages going into the students by reducing the time that they stand in line? So we've done that. I mean, we have taken over institutions where they used to wait for 2 hours, and it's gotten to the point by us utilizing our software where literally they're walking in and within 2 minutes they have all their packages and they're out. So we've utilized kiosks, and our software to, along with locker systems, to help speed things up. So what I mean by that is the student comes in to the service center, and we have kiosks there, and they'll just hit their badge swipe or their student ID number, and they go into a queue. And then what happens is there's large monitors, and it'll tell them how many packages they have. But as soon as they hit their ID number into the kiosk, that's where the rubber hits the road. We're in the back of the house, and we're actually gathering their packages coming up, and they're basically just signing for their packages, and they're on their way. And that all takes place within 2 hours. 2 minutes, sorry. So you're reducing it from 2 hours down to 2 minutes. It's a game changer.
And this software was actually developed for specifically one customer when we got into their mailroom and really started seeing these issues firsthand. Is that correct?
Correct. So we developed it for one customer, and then we basically have rolled it out to our other higher education clients, and it's been game changers at their locations. And now we've gotten to the point where, okay, how can we enhance that even more? So you have your students and they're up in their dorm rooms or in their off-campus housing, and now we're developing an app where they can say, okay, hit the app and say, I'm leaving my location to come to the service center. So that puts it in a queue, so we know that they're coming. So we're able to then stage their packages in a different area. So when they actually badge in, hit the kiosk, we're trying to reduce that time down even lower than the 2 minutes. And if they get sidelined, it actually will then, they have the ability to say, I'm not coming, or we'll time it out and put it back into the rack to make sure that it's available for them when they come down.
Oh, that's incredible. So when you were developing that and you're working with the customer, how did those conversations go with those clients, and how did y'all come to an agreement that this was a solution that they wanted to try?
So it was a needs analysis. The higher institutions now are tasked with how do we get enrollment up. So it's really, what can we do to draw students to our university or our college? So, mailroom, believe it or not, can be a great thing, or it could hurt you when you're recruiting. If you don't have the right provider in it and you have unhappy people, they're going to start putting it on websites and they're going to tell you how unhappy they are. And, so we basically have worked with the client to say, okay, these have been your issues. You've been getting the calls. This is what's happening. We addressed it the first time by putting in the kiosk and our software and everything else to reduce it down. Now what can we do to help you and make it even better? Because you're going to be one of the leaders that actually has this type of application. Nobody else in the industry has it. So that's something that you can go to market when you're actually trying to get the enrollment up and get more students on campus. So that we work hand in hand with our clients in developing it. So we'll get the ideas, then we'll go into development on our side with our IST programmers. We'll come back, we'll go back to the client with what we're looking at. These are our thoughts, this is it. They'll give us input. So it's a collaborative effort to work together to develop a product. We get our best ideas from our clients because they're going to tell us what they need. And then we kind of have the attitude, well, if you need it, there are going to be other clients that could use this too. It's worked out really well for IST.
Oh, absolutely. So you talked about how it's changed in the overnight packages and the increase in volume. And I have to imagine that the first of each semester, that first week, 2 weeks, is when the volume's just outrageous. So are these systems able to grow and expand during those times and then be reduced back down to during lesser times when it's not near as much volume?
Absolutely, and that's a great analogy of it, because what happens is, typically a month before the students come on campus, they start shipping items in. So it gets to the point where we could be doing anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 packages a day. That's per day. So, you have to take space into consideration where you're going to put all these packages. So we're able to scale our solution because we are able to work with our clients. We can get temporary spaces, set up additional centers in them, and actually have the same systems in place, yet we're relocating the students to come get their packages. So we can scale it up to pretty much any number and then scale it back down when it dies down. But the peak periods, what we're finding now is the peak periods are actually lasting 6 to 8 weeks, where before they used to be 2 weeks. It used to be, all right, 2-week rush. And I think the reason being is people have gone to on-demand ordering. It's like, I need a pencil, I need a widget, so I order a widget. The next maybe hour or 2 hours later, I need something else, so they're ordering it. By the end of the day, they could have 6 items, and that just happens over and over again. So we have the ability to scale it to any size, and it's worked out very, very well.
Excellent. So you've talked a lot about the kiosk. Obviously, that kiosk is a system where somebody's going to a centralized place to pick up their packages. But those have certain hours, which has certain limitations.
Correct.
So what have y'all done to create a better on-demand solution for individuals to pick up packages?
What we've done is we've partnered and we put lockers in. So we have locker systems that will strategically place throughout the campus. And with our software, as soon as the packages come in, we're entering them into IST's proprietary software. But we're not releasing it to the students yet, because what we're going to do is assign a locker to it. Once we go out and we actually deliver it into the locker, it will release a QR code to the student and let them know where the locker is, and they have access to it 24/7. So the good thing is, if they're out at night and 10 o'clock at night, they're either coming back from a class or somewhere else, they have the ability at that time to go, oh, you know what, I have a package, let me go over and grab it. So with the QR code, they hit it on the kiosk, it opens up the door, and off they go. We also have the ability to scale it. So if we put 2 packages in the morning for one of the students, and another truckload comes in, and they haven't picked up their packages, we have the ability to add the additional packages, and if they won't fit into the locker that was assigned, we will assign a new locker and combine all the packages. Again, it gives them flexibility, but one of the biggest things is security. They're walking around, they are able to, it's in a secure place, there's cameras, there's lights, and they have accessibility to it 24/7.
No, that's awesome. How do you communicate to the students that they have packages?
So once we enter it and we actually close the door, it will send them a text message. We used to send emails to students, and what we found is, it's a different generation. They'll answer the text before they enter an email. So it sends them a text letting them know that they have a package or packages, and within that it has the QR code. And again, as I mentioned, earlier, if we had to change the actual locker that was originally assigned, it will then notify them again that they've received additional packages and the locker's been reassigned. It'll let them know what the locker number is. So we're in constant communication with them.
So, and then another problem I would have to believe is, obviously you're trying to get them through the line faster, but you have to be able to process that package quickly from when you receive it from, say, Amazon, because they're getting that same push notification, that same text, and if they're impatient, they're going to want it now, and if it's taking you 2 days to process it to that point, that's going to cause problems. So how do y'all process packages quickly?
Well, first of all, it will never take us 2 days to process packages.
Fair enough.
If we did, we wouldn't be the leader in the industry.
Right.
But you're right. They receive a notification from Amazon that their package was delivered, so they think immediately they can go down and get it. The good thing is the way our systems are developed, as soon as we receive it, we enter it into our system. But at that point, not all packages are going to go into the lockers either. They're going to go into the service center. So we have to be able to communicate to the students when they can come pick it up. So if we're not using the locker system and we're going through our traditional method of the service center during business hours, they will receive a text letting them know that they have packages and they're at the service center. So we're communicating with them. That's the way to do it. We have drivers that are constantly going out to the lockers, and they're strategically placed on campus. So what it does is it gives them the ability to, during the day, also utilize the lockers and pick them up. So that is done through text communication too. We do have standard operating procedures in place. So if a package is in a locker for whatever our client deems necessary is too long, some may say 2 days. If it's in there for 48 hours, we're going to pull it and we're going to bring it back to the center, and we're going to repurpose the locker for somebody else's package. So it's all done through communication. Whatever we're doing with their packages, they always know based on the text that they're receiving.
Excellent. You talked about earlier how you knew when we were developing this for one client, it was going to be an issue a lot of clients have. And obviously that in the education world, this answered a lot of problems they were having. But how are you able to take this technology and utilize it in different vertical markets? Because IST has clients in major law firms, corporations, healthcare. So how can we take this technology and make it useful to other industries?
Great question, Brad. And at first I was like, well, this is only going to be for higher education, and boy, was I wrong. What I realized is we have government contracts that we have clients, and they're utilizing it. And with the hybrid model, this has been a perfect addition to what they're doing, because employers, whether it's a law firm or whether it's a corporate, it doesn't matter. At that point, they could be in 2 days a week or 3 days a week. Well, business is still taking place. We're still on site 5 days a week, sometimes 6, depends on who our client is. So this gives them the security by us utilizing the lockers to utilize it for their mail and their packages if they're working remotely. So let's say in one of our law firm clients, I have an attorney that's working home on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and he comes or she comes in on Thursday and Friday. Well, if something important came in on Monday, I have the ability to put it in a locker, and same process, give them a QR code, and she or he can come in anytime. As long as there's security, they can get into the building. If they're out and they want to come in at 8 o'clock Monday night to pick it up because they need it for, say, a deposition on Wednesday, we utilize the lockers. So it's secure, and it also, it lets us know that they've picked it up. So there's communication very similar to our higher education clients as to, giving them the QR code and the ability to pick it up.
No, I love that, and obviously you're absolutely right. When you're in that hybrid or hotel model, you lose security. You don't know when people are in, you can't leave a package that might have a lot of value on it just randomly on somebody's desk. So this allows them to pick it up instantaneously. But IST is also known for that white glove service, for being able to provide that concierge level. So how can this software and that hybrid model still allow us to deliver packages even though they're in that hoteling or hybrid and they're not in the office all the time?
Well, similar to the students, they have the ability at that point where we're developing the software where we can communicate with them and they're able to tell us when they're coming in. So, the white glove service can be, all right, if I'm coming in at 8 o'clock at night, we may have somebody that's on site at 8 o'clock. So we can say, your package will be in the service center, we'll meet you there, we'll wait for you. And, we're utilizing our systems to basically do the handoff, because as you said, you can't leave anything out. In today's day and age, things walk and somebody's going to be responsible for it, and it's typically IST.
Right,
We're the ones that receive it from the carrier. So at that point, we utilize the software, and if we need to assign a locker, we're going to do it at that time, and then they'll get the communication. But yeah, the white glove service is really, communication is key, and our people are top-notch people. They know how to communicate, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a managing partner, it doesn't matter. They communicate from top down. That's why we hire them. That's servant's heart, as we call it at IST. And then giving them the tools with the software, they're able to communicate also with our client, whether they're sending an email. Some clients, if they're getting a QR code, if they had an issue, we're able to then at that point have our team go reassign a different QR code and get it to that individual. So it's going above and beyond. If it's after hours, they have the ability to call our site manager, and she or he will come in and do whatever's needed. So utilizing the lockers has been a game changer because of the hybrid model. It gives people access to what they need. And never before did we think that we would be putting mail into a locker. Well, guess what? We're doing it. Even at we're talking about the corporate world now, but what's interesting, even in the higher education, students don't really care about their mail. They care about the packages. So what we've done is we started, we have digital mail folders, and we're utilizing our software for that. But when they get packages, we're also utilizing the locker for them to pick up their mail. So we're kind of bundling it. So it's the same thing even in the corporate world or the legal world.
Excellent, Stuart. So I just want to ask you one last question. We've been talking about creativity this whole entire time, and creativity is a really important thing to me because in everything I do at work at IST, whether it's the marketing side or the real estate side, it's about creating great design through creativity, and I believe anyone can be creative. And I'm just curious how you bring creativity and creative thinking to the workplace every day.
Well, you know what? I put myself in the position of the people that I'm dealing with, whether it's my employees, my managers, my clients. I mean, I kind of, if I were in that position, what would I be looking at from me? And so it's allowed me to basically listen to what's important to them and to connect, as I mentioned earlier. I think being able to connect with somebody is huge, because at that point, if you have a good connection, then you have communication. So I think my creativity comes in once I have a good understanding of what's driving them and really what they're looking for. And then I'm trying to use my either skill sets or my resources to match up with what they're looking for, to then be creative to help them, basically reach a goal. I mean, the whole mail, the way it's changed over the years, I mean, it's, when you think about it, we talked about higher education, we talked about law firms and corporate world. Just look at like transfers of money, how that used to be done. I mean, it was done through the mail. It was done by sending gift cards. Well, it's now done through, Zelle and all these other online sources. So what I'm doing is I'm like, okay, how can we create something very similar where we've created an experience? And that's really what it's about. It's creating an experience to enhance whatever we're trying to do for that individual.
No, and I love that. And I love how you brought that back to the very beginning when you were talking about connection. Because so much about creativity and the creative process is being able to have people that trust you and believe that you can take risk. And so because you're creating those connections, they're able to trust you. And then you talked about when you were sitting down with the client and going over this, how there's that back and forth, there's that dialogue. And I'm sure that what we developed day one didn't work, that there were failures in it, but they had the trust so you could learn from those failures to finally come up with that final product.
Yeah, and it may not even be a failure, but it may be a tweak. Right. It's like, okay, you got this part, but you missed this part. This is what I want. And that's where the relationship comes in, because they're telling you what they want, which is key. Right. Because then it's up to us to say, okay, this is what they want. Let's develop it. And the clients and the people we deal with are great because IST brings so much to the table that they want it. They want to be the first ones to have it. So if we're developing it with them, they're going to be the first one. And that means that they're going to try and be the leader in that industry. And it's pretty exciting because we all learn from it. It's not like our clients benefit. We learn from what they want because it's something new that's coming to the industry. And it ties back to our president and CEO has always said, if they want it, somebody else is going to want it. And he's been absolutely correct on that.
Excellent. No, that was fabulous. And I love how you brought this whole thing full circle and showed how connection and listening and understanding what their finish line is allows us to take the processes and the technology we have and those people in that servant's heart so we can creatively find solutions. So Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you, Brad. It's been great. I appreciate you, everything you do for us here at IST, and glad to be here in Atlanta.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Outside In podcast. If you want to learn more about how IST can help you improve your processes, visit us at istmanagement.com.